Hello, everybody. Everything seems to be alright. Hope everybody had a great week. So welcome everyone. This is the Shortwave radio show. This is the live stream we have every Fridays at 2000 hours Universal Time. The stream where we talk about radio with tons of radio geeks. And of course we have beer. The end of the world. La fin du monde. And of course we talk about radio. Shortwave radio, anything below 30 megahertz, but you know, anything radio goes. But we try to maintain it below 30 megahertz if possible. And we talk about what's happening in the world of shortwave, medium wave, long wave. We tune the bands, we answer questions. And so we have lots of little things to talk about, of course. I also have a new antenna on its way, and I'm going to talk about that too. So we are here every Fridays, 2000 UTC, and that's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we are here to entertain. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That's the northeastern part of North America. And I hope that you'll enjoy today's show. Beautiful chat room with wonderful people and amazing moderators, and of course this is the place where you want to be. If you're brand new to the hobby, maybe you're not really sure what shortwave radio is all about, well, it's a great place. Maybe you just bought your first radio. I get this all the time, people coming to my channel and saying, hey, I bought my first radio because of you and I need help, or if it's not that, they do already have the help thanks to the channel, thanks to online resources, but they're just like, you know, I kind of fallen in love with the hobby, and so it's a lot of fun to, you know, have a great bunch of guys, because I mean, and girls, you know, guys is in general. I always, I don't know how many times I got a complaint about, well, you say guys, well, guys for me is like, it doesn't have a, you know, there's no sex attached to that. Guys is girls, you know, boys, men, women, it's all of that together. And so a bunch of great guys that are here to help, and that, you know, our hobby, like I always say, kind of solitary. We're alone in our little man cave or woman cave, because there are women caves out there also. I mean, there are women caves, that's for sure. And I mean, this is the great time where we all gather together and just have a lot of fun with radio. Hello there, Bobby Burgess from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA, with his shortwave call sign WA5107SWL. Nick Amendo from Romania, nice to have you here. Alan Giles from London in the UK. Madam Bali in Colorado. Richard Cook in the UK. JD Williamson, nice to have you on board, my friend. Raymond Challoner, nice to have you here. Radioactive, nice to have you on board. William Helms from Florida, nice to have you here. Kevin Wood, nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia. We have Al Catalan, nice to have you here, my friend. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France, toujours un plaisir. Chair problem solved. Yeah, of course. I took the chair from the other side, and you know, so now there's two chairs, and of course, you guys, there's Mr. Cat here. That's right, he's just there sleeping. And look at that, guys. I got a shirt. Best friends for life. Jill and Paul. How about that shirt? Huh? I got that this week, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is so cute. You had a T-shirt for you and Paul. This is so nice." And of course, Mr. Paul, looking, wondering why I'm talking so loud, saying, "Hey, you're disturbing my sleep now." So nice to have everybody here, of course. My friends. And what else do we have? I write 61. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Happy weekend to all of you, of course. Where am I? Where am I? Nice to have you here. You must be somewhere. Alme-san, nice to have you on board, my friend. And said, when asked a couple of weeks ago I should replace my Kenwood TS850S when Icom my C7300, there was no consensus. So I kept the Kenwood and got the Icom. That's the best thing you can do. Honestly, I would not see myself departing of any radios to get another radio. If I have another radio, it just adds to the radios I already have. That's pretty much the best thing you can do. And you know what? You'll enjoy both radios. Sometimes it's kind of cool. You know, there's one thing that I kind of find fun, interesting and fun when you have more than one radio, is that it's cool. The new radios are fun. But you know what? You always have that moment when you go back and you're like, you know what? I kind of find it fun to go back to my older radio or to another radio for a little while. It's kind of different. And so, you know, cool. D1 DJK, nice to have you on board from Germany, my friend. EAF5 ITG, nice to have you on board from Spain. Bob Geist, nice to have you here. And 2DET, Long Beach, New York. Pretty cool. Max Edstrong, nice to have you on board, my friend. Alme Sam says, then over the last couple of days, my Kato KA1103 starting to fail. Will shut off when tuning through memories. Oh, really? So I ordered the Texan PL880 to replace it, and it arrived a few hours ago. Cool. Have you started tuning it? Do you like it? It's a nice upgrade. The Texan PL880 is a great radio. Pretty cool. Yeah, it is hurricane season that's starting tomorrow, June 1st. And of course, that also means that you might want to listen to the maritime weather, and also there's the Hurricane WatchNet when something bad happens on 14325 upper sideband daytime, 7268 lower sideband nighttime. So yes, a beautiful chat room with walls filled with radios. Catalan says thumbs up for the shirt. Nice. D1DJK is receiving BBC on 9410 from Warburton. Cool. Christopher Coleman, nice to have you on board, says installed the latest Windows update and it overridden my SDR drivers. Yeah, it happens sometimes when you do have big updates. I got my SDR, my RSP1A on my Insider machine installed because sometimes I use my Windows Insider machine, and of course that machine gets a big update every week pretty much, and most of the time I got to reinstall in order for everything to work again. It does happen, unfortunately, from time to time. Eddie SX from Sarnia, Ontario, nice to have you on board. Got his amateur license yesterday. VE3BUF, and says my turn. Yeah, you know what? Yesterday was interesting because if you guys know, there's my friend Fastload that is in the chat room from time to time. We talked yesterday. We were at the karaoke bar, talked a little bit, and we had some fun yesterday. I actually took out one of my GMRS 22 channel talkies. And we were wondering if from his house to my house, which is about 3, maybe 4 kilometers away, if we could actually have a contact, especially because he's downhill too. So it makes it a little more difficult. And we were kind of surprised to see that we could actually talk with each other on one of the UHF channels on the GMRS. And of course, we did talk about me getting my ham license, so we're going to check that out because we were talking about the fact that there's guys there that actually can have you pass your test at the Longueuil Hamfest this fall. And I thought, you know what, that would be perfect. Getting my hand license and passing the test at the Longueuil Hamfest this fall, that would be great actually. So I could have my hand license there. So I'm going to check that out for sure. What else do we have? Radioactive is W7WXV in Prineville, Oregon. Pretty cool. Amisam is KF0OU in Columbus, Ohio. Pretty cool. Everybody says hi to DX the Cat, of course, or Paul. Nice to have everybody here. Ralph Bender, nice to have you on board from Germany. Dijan, nice to have you here from the Bavaria border, Germany. Yeah, he's listening to Week Station. He's listening to the beacon, the long wave beacon I have in the Grundig just in the background. Where am I? Is in Ohio. Nice to have you here. Ray Kelly, nice to have you here from Nova Scotia. Shortwave Frequency Channel, bonjour. Nice to have you on board from Sweden. Pretty cool. Bobby Burgess gave his dog his 7-in-1 vaccine about an hour ago. Paul went to the vet this week for his last shot for his for the vaccines for the different disease that cats can catch. And we've been looking at his skin because he still has these little bumps. I still have about a week left of antibiotics to give him. And I don't know. We're going to see what is happening. It's kind of, what else do we have? Thanks for the nice shirt, guys. How many time is charging the 880 right now? Cool. Randy in Riverside, California, KN6BZG. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. DJ's going to be in Greece in a week. Can't wait to tune his Texan PL660 from there. That's one of the first things I would like going somewhere else. Is getting, tuning my radios or tuning a radio around in another country. It's always kind of, new discoveries. Robert Babcock, nice to have you here from Connecticut, W0RAB. Travis 2470 says he's interested in listening in on hurricane weather. Helen Willie, nice to have you here from Carbonear, Newfoundland, V01001SWL. I saw your post in, I think it was the CIDX Facebook group of medium wave receptions. I don't get these exotic medium wave things here. I get nothing. I get, the American stations. Well, I did get Cuba the other day, but it seems to be like one of a kind or one at a time. I don't know. What else do we have? Just sort of about echoing, maybe we can talk about transmitting data on shortwave, DTMF as such. We can talk a little bit about digital stuff. I'm just going to open the door for Mr. Paul that wants to go out somewhere. And and here we have a battery that just fell down. Okay. Redalva65, nice to have you on board from sunny New York City. Cool. Here it's cool and kind of cloudy. But apparently in a week's time I'm going to get in the 80s. So going to be interesting to see that. Radioactive, decoded earlier. Derelict 50-foot SV ram 10 hauled adrift in vicinity of boats drifting away in the middle of the ocean. Man. Kevin Wood hears an L once in a while. It's YUL, I think it's saying in the background. What else do we have? Bob T, nice to have you on board. And Brian, Iowa, nice to have you here. Can't wait for you to try your magnetic loop antenna when you get it. I can't wait to get it, especially at the price that I'm paying. I'm just going to say hi to everybody just at the bottom here. I'm already at the bottom, which is kind of unusual for such a short moment. What else do we have? Yeah, last Saturday I couldn't be on, Richard. I went out to help a friend, and he lives out of town. And he said, "Oh, we'll be back 2 p.m. You'll be back home at 2 p.m." Yeah, right. At 2 p.m. we were still there, and I was like, "Okay, I think we're not going to have a show today. Something is up, and I'm not home." And I was like 45 minutes away, and we still had stuff to do. So I was like, okay, I think there's going to be no show today after all. So I couldn't, What else do we have? Okay, I'm gonna start talking about my antenna, and I'm gonna hang on to DGen asking me my opinion about DRM, which is my opinion, and we're gonna talk about it. So, first of all, I ordered an antenna that I will be receiving in a week or two. So I decided on, I'm kind of that type of guy. I just, am sitting there one day and decide that I buy this and that's it. So, in the month of May, the W6LVP website with loop antennas and all of that, they had free shipping to Canada. So it was kind of free shipping, okay. And I went on the website and I started looking at the loop antenna, magnetic loop, amplified magnetic loop, and finally decided to purchase one. So I purchased the antenna, which is 350 US bucks. And the guy came back to me, Larry. It's very professional because Larry from the website there came back and said, "Look, is the antenna going to be positioned at your mailing address? Is that the place where the antenna is going to be?" And I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Look," and he posted a link of radio locator. He said, "You've got some really strong FM stations and some really strong medium wave stations where you live. And that antenna ain't going to work well. It's going to overload totally on that. So here's what I suggest." He said, "Got two choices. Add 65 bucks and you'll have a low pass and a high pass filter. So it's going to block medium wave and block FM stations to the antenna. By doing that," he says, "the antenna is going to perform perfectly and you'll have a great experience. Or if you don't want to spend 65 bucks more, I don't recommend that you buy it like that because you won't be happy where you live." So I found that to be very nice because the guy told me, there's a lot of places you could buy antennas and they just don't care and they wouldn't actually do anything. So he wanted to make sure probably that my experience was good. So I actually purchased the filters extra. So I'm having like a $500 kit coming home now. I didn't want to spend that much money, but I thought, you know what? I honestly, except for very strong stations, I'm not enjoying my hobby as much as I would like. And a big chunk of the reason why is because of the high noise that I have here. So I thought, you know what, it's my hobby, and it's not just my hobby, it's part of my job because it goes with the videos that I do and the live shows that I do and all of that. So even though it was more money than I wanted to spend, I thought, let's go. Let's do it. Okay, let's just do it. So the antenna and the filters and everything, it's close to, it's not far from 500 bucks Canadian. The exchange rate isn't very good for Canada, so all of that. But I decided let's go for it. Okay. So now the only thing I hope is that it's really going to help. If it does really help, honestly, I don't care if I spend $400 or $500. I mean, it means it works and it's perfect. So if you guys want to help me out a little bit with donations today, will be welcome to pay for that antenna that I will review totally in every form, in every way. So if you guys want to chip in a little bit, just say, hey, that's for your new W6 LVP loop. You're welcome, guys. So anyways, I'm going to get that. Right now it's still in California. If I look at the last, let me just put this here. I'm just going to look at the last update. The last update I've got, if I go here, package on its way, tracking. So right now, the last update of the tracking is from yesterday evening, May 30th at 7:18 p.m. And it says that it's processed through the regional facility in Los Angeles, California International Distribution Center of the U.S. Postal Service. So, it's on its way. And I can't wait to test that out. And sincerely, if it really, really helps out and gives me better reception, I will be happy. And I got to say, I'm anxious to have that in my hands and start using it for sure. And I thought, well, by spending a lot of money by doing that I would probably spend some more money and change some of the wiring, like maybe and buy a new coax. I've been using old RG58 or 59. I don't remember what number it is. That's it's been like it's 30-year-old coax. I mean, I know coax doesn't really break unless you're rough with it, but I thought, maybe some brand new coax and connectors and some LMR 400 for the VHF, UHF range. If that loop works well and all of that works well, probably the next thing that I'll do maybe would be to have a good discount antenna to replace my vertical mobile. Even though it still does good, I know that could be better. So all of that together, and of course there's going to be a lot of videos on that loop and the install and what it is and what it looks like and how it performs and what I think about it. I also will have videos to compare. Yes, the cat is meowing. To compare the yes, Mr. Cat. I'm gonna go open the door. I know Paul wants to go outside. I'm pretty sure. So just 2 seconds, guys. Yeah, Paul wants to go outside. Paul wants to go outside. There we go. There we go. Paul wanted to go outside as expected. So he didn't go much outside today. So I thought, you know what? I think that's what he wants to do. I've been sleeping a lot. So anyways, I'm waiting for that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to check out. And we'll see how it performs with all the filters and everything. Okay. What I think, my opinion of DRM. Dejan wants me to know that, to tell that, or say what I think of DRM. Okay. DRM in itself isn't a bad thing. Digital Radio Mondiale is a digital mode, and it is something that was brought to try to revive shortwave. I know that a lot of it has gone, like marketing stuff, trying to revive what shortwave is all about. The problem with that is that it's, I don't know, it's like it hasn't been taught out right, honestly. I mean, a lot of what DRM is all about is the fact that they were trying to get some new way of getting better audio and better shortwave experience, I would say. But there's where I have a problem with DRM is at several levels. First of all, DRM radios, there's still no affordable DRM radios, honestly. Most DRM capable radios are either expensive, there's not a lot of them. I've seen a few videos. I saw one guy this week with a funky, weird named radio that did DRM in India. The problem is, first of all, it should have had its own frequency ranges. They should have taken some chunks of shortwave spectrum and say DRM is going to happen in that range, first of all. Why? Because it's very wide. It's 12 kilohertz. It interferes with regular broadcasts. It's actually a big chunk of noise in the middle of the international broadcast bands, and I don't like it. I mean, it interferes with authentic signals. And I mean, I've had several occasions when I tried to DX a station or listen to a station that was very close to a DRM signal and ended up not listening because the DRM interferes. So DRM is a big chunk of noise that interferes with everything, and that's pretty much what I think of DRM right now. Now, that said, I don't know if there would be a radio. And I mean, I was listening to WWCR. There's a show called Ask WWCR. They were saying that there's a consortium that actually has the plans to make a like $30 radio that would receive DRM, which I'm very skeptical right now. I mean, look at how strong a signal needs to be and how the signal to noise ratio needs to be perfect for DRM to decode. It's not a good option. I mean, I find that stations that spend money on DRM capable transmitters wasted their money on something that they should not, and they should have pretty much spent that money on keeping their stations on the air. The other thing is, shortwave as a medium is a medium for people that, in general, you know, I'm buying a $500 antenna. I mean, I am not part of 99% of everybody that listens to shortwave that have cheap shortwave radio that don't plan and have no plans and no money to buy another one. They are not going to buy a radio for DRM. It's a waste of money for them. It's like, why? Radio works. It already does the job. So honestly, I think DRM needs to be killed off rather than continued as a medium for shortwave at least. DRM could be good for something else though. I don't know, maybe medium wave or you know, in some other ranges where there's local stations. Maybe there it could have some kind of use. But on shortwave, I think DRM needs to be killed. I honestly, I would write to stations that have DRM and said, you know what, nobody's listening. I hope you're not wasting your time on DRM, because nobody's listening there except real, you know, guys with fancy computers and fancy equipment that are not your target audience, honestly. So that's what my opinion, and it's my personal opinion of what DRM is. Yes, Alan, I need to move to the ocean seashore. Absolutely. When I see what all the people are listening close to the Atlantic Ocean and so on, it's like, wow, you know. It's just a lot of fun to see that, and it's like, yeah, some people have it really, really nice, and especially for medium wave listening, it's just great. So you know, it's crazy. Butterbean, nice to have you here. Just did a little work on his MFJ G5RV for shortwave systems. Working great for a shortwave antenna. Cool. Cool. PLF Radio, thanks. For those that wonder what he's talking about, I have a new series of videos, and I'll be doing that regularly. I haven't finished the ones with the DR920 yet. I'm having a new series of videos that I post, and it's what if the only radio I have would be this radio. So for example, this week was the Texan DR920 that I have, I believe, not very far from here. Here we go. So every kind of week or so, or every few days, I go back and use one radio that I have, and the videos are, okay, what if this was my only radio and I had nothing else? Would I be happy? What do I think of this radio? Do I still have the same opinion of this radio as before? So I started with, I did the TVO V115, which was honestly horrible, personally. Then the Texan R9012, which was kind of nice, really a nice experience. The DX100 right here, which was a lot of fun, brought me back to the good old days of shortwave. So this is the latest videos are on this one, the DR920, which is a 25-ish shortwave radio with digital display. Actually, it's an analog radio with a frequency counter. And so I'm having a lot of fun because it's making me, first of all, use old radios that I haven't tuned in a long time. And it's actually a lot of fun to check out the performance of these old radios and play around. And you gotta honestly do also that, because it's like a lot of people out there don't have fancy radios. Not everybody has an ICOM ICR 8500 or some fancy SDR of some sort. A lot of people have, down to earth, inexpensive portable receivers. And by doing that, it's like bringing me to, first of all, showing everybody that, what? It's not because your radio is an inexpensive little portable that it can't actually do nice DX. And so that's what I'm trying to do with that, and having fun with that. Mickey Dalmage, nice to have you here from Sherwood Park, Alberta. Yeah, you guys have these forest fires that the CBC keeps not talking about. So it's like, wow, it's kind of interesting to see that, but hope things are getting better up there. I mean, it's really, really crazy. You guys are getting hit. Radio Week signal work. Nice to have you here from Utah, K7LNP. Nice to have you on board. Brian Petty, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. He received 2 QSLs from Vatican Radio, and that is nice. Says, who says you can't get QSLs anymore? No, you still can QSL a lot of stations. Radio Romania QSLs, Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia, WRMI, WWCR, Voice of Turkey, Radio New Zealand, China Radio. What do we have? We have the Voice of Vietnam, KBS, Radio Japan. They all QSL. You can QSL stations. Absolutely. A few of them have started to use e-QSLs, sending them through email rather than postal mail. But still, it's QSL. Hey Chromite, nice to have you here. No, here the wildfires are really in Alberta, Canada, in the west part of Canada. That's very far away from here. I mean, west part of Canada for me is almost as far away as Europe on the other side. So, Canada is a pretty big country. I remember maybe 20 years ago, we had a lot of wildfires up north in the province of Quebec. And I remember one day, it was very weird and it looked so bizarre. But I remember looking at the sky was kind of weird. The sun was kind of a weird orange colored sun, and it was the clouds were actually the smoke from the forest fires in up north, the province of Quebec. And I remember they were so intense that we actually had a couple of power outages, because here the power lines for Hydro-Quebec come from up north in James Bay, which is very far from Montreal up north. And the forest fires were kind of halfway through. And because of that, the forest fires, they had to sometimes interrupt the electricity because they were close to the power lines. So it was kind of crazy. Man. 9460 kilohertz. Radioman Challenger says plus 20 tonight. Let's try 9460 here. I believe that is Turkey, right? 460. I have something very weak. I do have Greece that shows up on any 420. Not very strong yet. Should be getting a little better actually. 94.20 for Greece. Okay, what's happening? I need to check out. Oh God, 100 hertz. Here we go. So Greece is there. Not super strong, but it's there. There's some music right now. I need to change a few things. That's okay here. Okay. What else do we have? Max S-Strong. The loop is a W6 LVP loop. It's branded W6 LVP. If you go to W6 LVP website, you will see the loops are there, the magnetic loop. It's an equivalent to the Walbrook in performance and what it does. But it's less expensive for here in North America. It's less expensive to get that loop, the W6 LVP loop, than getting a Walbrook. Plus, there was free shipping. Plus, they are they have money back warranty. If it really doesn't work like I want, I can actually send it back and they'll refund. So which is kind of complex. That's why I never got a Walbrook, because a Walbrook is very expensive here. It's more expensive than getting that loop. Plus, it's very complicated because it's like, you know, overseas. There's tons of complex things to get the Walbrook here in Canada. Bobby Burgess says the only way I'm going to listen to FM broadcast stations without overloading issue is use my SDR player SP1, because the RTL will overload with my FM station 2 streets. Yeah, it's not very far, so it overloads easily. Galvanic isolators helpful in magnetic loops. They can, I guess they can, yes. Well, it's technically PLF radio. The magnetic loop antenna is made to be put outside, but I've seen many people in some YouTube videos actually just have it in the window, and they seem to have pretty surprising reception, honestly. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping too, Helms. I'm hoping also that the loop's going to work well. Rob Bender says, sure, we'll have a lot of fun with loop. It's nice to see the difference to other antennas. I will be checking out the difference also, and posting videos and showing the difference in reception between the sloper and the loop, which is going to be nice to test out also. Dave Tot, nice to have you here, says use a little Wi-Fi antenna with an SMA connector if overloading is a problem on a very near station with my SDR play. So J.D. Williamson says, I think the company knew who you are. It is possible. It is possible. So the E1DJK says, Gelders around the world, all airports are busy with his packages and radio boxes. Yeah, well, you know, radioactive, if I had to invest, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it and get the full package. It's all or nothing. I mean, come on. I just went for it. What else do we have? Rufus Newt, nice to have you on board, my friend. PLF radio, it's a loop that technically goes from it's made to receive from 1 kilohertz way down in a very low frequency range up to 30 megahertz. That's the rating of that loop. Now, of course, because of the strong stations and the filters I'll be putting in, It's going to chunk out the medium wave. Of course, I can get that filter out of the circuit, but it's technically it's made from 1 kilohertz all the way up to 30 megahertz, even a little higher from what I've seen. And like you said, if I would live far away from any medium wave FM station, the stock loop would be perfect. But without the here in the city, the stations are so strong that you told me you need to have those filters. Super 20 Dan, nice to have you on board. I haven't been to Perry Island yet. The weather is so crappy and cold that I haven't been there at all yet. Now this week I won't be there. That's for sure. I was looking at the the weather this week is not going to be good either. Kind of cold, rainy, but in 2 weeks' time, we're supposed to have our first 25, 26 Celsius, like 80s. Now that is going to be Perry Island time. And if it does get nice and warm, maybe in 2 weeks, Perry Island videos will be the first. And I plan on bringing, of course, as the first radio to Perry Island this year, the XH Data D808 with, of course, 30, 40 feet of wire and tune around from there. So that's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, I tested the S350DL also and the U1DJK, you're right. And I will, the DR920 I haven't finished yet. I want to add a couple for the R9012 for medium wave, and the S350DL also possibly for medium wave that are going to come in the next week or two. It's interesting because all the tips that I've been posting, the reviews, the stuff that I've been posting, I tripled my views on the channel in a month and a half, or roughly 2 months. I tripled. It's like, wow, the channel is like boosted up a lot. Kind of nice. Paul Williams, nice to have you on board from California, USA. Pretty cool. Take care, my friend, JD Williamson. I know the feel. Getting up that early, you gotta go to bed early for sure. Bobby Burgess says, you said one time that when shortwave stations left, they just left. If they are not on the internet, then what is the chance that they are on satellites? They just leave everything. Most stations, Bobby, that have left shortwave, not all of them, but the majority of stations that left shortwave left completely every type of medium. They are not on the internet and they are not on satellites. The only side of these stations that are kept are the local ones. So when Radio Netherlands left, they left everything. But of course, there's the local stations there from that are still there. But there's most of them just leave. A couple of them left, kept their presence on shortwave on the internet, sorry, but have noticed that we don't have the same audience on the internet. We have a lot less people on the internet listening in than on shortwave, and a lot of stations noticed that. I was hearing I think it was Radio Prague that mentioned that when they left shortwave, because they didn't have the money to continue, they had mentioned in one of their programs that the audience on the internet was much lower, and they had noticed that they had lost a lot of listeners, and that they were surprised because they thought that a lot of the listeners, and that's probably the biggest mistake of these stations, they think that the listeners on shortwave will go on the internet to listen. which most of the time isn't the case. Now, I admit that there are a few I did follow. For example, when Radio Sweden left Shortwave, they had their Radio Sweden podcast on the internet, and it was one of the podcasts that I actually had programmed in my internet radio, which is a Sanjian WFR20. And I would listen to it. And I did listen to Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia when they had their podcast too. But honestly, it's because I like programming. I like to listen and learn about these countries more. Because, yeah, it's okay. I can listen to it there. It's like Radio Australia. For example, I listened to Radio Australia the other day. I think it was on Wednesday. I was doing a few things, and I have the Sanjian Wi-Fi radio, and I don't use it. Honestly, I purchased that thing. It cost me like $300, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna have a lot of fun tuning into the streams over the internet, and I ended up doing one thing with that radio. It has amazing sound, and the only thing I've been doing with it basically was streaming music. So I would choose some kind of channel of, what the type of music that I like, and let it play music because it sounded so great. And I noticed that I didn't listen to anything, really not much more than that. Even though in there I have, some podcasts from some stations that are on the internet. I've got the BBC NewsHour podcast in it. I've got even the BBC stream itself, the World Service. There's Radio New Zealand, there's Radio Australia is still on the internet. You can listen to Radio Australia Pacific Stream if you want. And but the thing is, I don't use it. I turned it on this week. I think the last time I turned it on was at Christmas to have some Christmas music, because there was a Christmas stream that I liked. So, I have a $300 black box that is a clock, because that's almost the only thing I'm doing with it right now. And yet, I look at it from time to time. I see it right now, and I'm like, man, I need to use this more. I ain't paid $300 to leave it there and do nothing. And I need to go through the streams more. But you know what? It's like I always say. For me, the fun is listening to a station through shortwave. It's kind of cool, Listening to it through the internet for me ain't that fun, honestly. Kevin Wood says, I was hearing something different at about 15120 earlier. Really wondered if it was local noise, but it's gone now. Oh, you might have been, Kevin, you might have been hearing Radio Nigeria on 15120. It uses DRM, and it's actually one of the streams, one of the DRM stations, the easiest to decode because it's very low bit rate. But you might have been hearing Radio Nigeria in DRM on a 15120. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to try to accelerate a little bit. Now I got back a little bit back in time, a little bit more. Radio Week Signal Works says a DRM radio receiver at 80 US dollars from China. Might check that if I get something that's reasonable. But I think DRM is not something. So yeah, come to the seaside. I need to go to Nova Scotia this summer. We'll all meet up, have a few beers, and listen to the radio. I've never been to Nova Scotia. I've been on the east part. The only place that I've been to is New Brunswick, and I've been on the east coast of the United States a few times, but always with people that it was zero. I couldn't do radio, and the radio was not the thing. Now that I think about it, there are a couple of times I've been on the East Coast in the U.S. that I should have brought a radio with me, but you know, sometimes don't think about these things. Butterbean's got a G5 RV up, seems to work fine, but going to put a random wire soon, 155 feet. Woohoo! That's pretty nice. Randy Cummings, nice to have you here. It's got a CC radio, shortwave, that has a IF output for adding decoders. Yeah, there's a few radios that have that, so that you can actually add a DRM decoder if you want. What else is there? Randy Cummings also has a Grundig 450SX that has IF out. Yeah, I got the 450 DLX here that has an IF out, absolutely, also. The one that JK says the Dixon DR920 little fun little analog radio with digital readout, under $25 from China. Yeah, radioactive. That's almost, they cover it, but like we were talking in the International Radar Report last week, the #1 news is about the basketball team, Raptors, and it's like, I mean, come on, Alberta's on fire. Do something. Talk about it. I think that's more important. I don't know. It's crazy. Damien Allier, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Randy Cummins is working on 3 broadband active loops. Nice. WOHP 1390, good afternoon. Nice to have you on board, Rick. W8PRR. And yeah, you need to get out that DX160. Come on. What are you waiting for? Terry Cook, nice to have you on board from Montana. Says Smokey here from Alberta Fires. So yeah, we do hope everybody's okay. Absolutely. Imagine how people that have asthma or some kind of respiratory illness, how it must be difficult with all these fine particles from the fires. Johnny DXer, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I hear we're underwater and the West Coast is burning. Absolutely, Dave. Pretty much. Johnny DXer is W3JMC. You get used to it, D1 DJK, can tell you that. We did have a little bit of smoke from the western fires in the sky, but nothing like I remembered when we had the fires in northern Quebec. That was pretty impressive. And probably that's what it looks like in Alberta, I guess. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Sitting by his trusty ICOM ICR 8500, hooked to his Bazooka inverted V for 40 meters. Currently in dipole config. Cool. Brian Penny, WPLJ 95.5, iconic New York City rock station, goes silent today after 48 years. Oh, really? Wow. Wow. That's no good. Stations going off the air. Kevin Wood, remember Quebec fires affected air in Nova Scotia? That was 30 years ago. Oh yeah, probably 30. I remember it was at least 20, if not more. But it was a long time ago, absolutely. Yep, Randy Cummings, absolutely. Your rig is only as good as your antenna. I remember when I got my ICOM STR 500, and I think it was on the first page, first or second page of the manual, it stated very clearly that the radio will be only as good as the antenna you plug on it. And they actually say it in the manual, saying, you know what, if the radio's crappy, it's not a radio, your antenna's crappy. DGen says was able to FM DX on Tuesday, receive FM stations from Switzerland and northern Bavaria and Germany. Cool, 500 kilometer distance, that's nice. D1DJK has World Music Radio on 5840. Brent, nice to have you on board from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. I didn't really consider the MFJ 1886 mag loop. It didn't come to mind, and I have so many people that have the W6 LVP loops that are just swearing by it, that it kind of pushed me to that basically. But yes, it's something that could have been interesting to look at. But I found it very, very professional that he actually came back. Larry came back to me and said, "Look, in your vicinity, in your area, you will need to basically have filters because the AM FM stations in your area are too strong and it's going to overload." So I can't wait. I can't wait to get the loop. I got to tell you, the day I get it, I'm going to spend the whole day setting that up. I can tell you that, and I just can't wait to see and test it all. Luis, nice to have you on board. Yeah, the scanner show. I didn't have it because no, you did not miss it. Like I said earlier, I was out with some friends. We were supposed to move some things, and that guy lives up north from Montreal. So we were out, and he said, "Oh, don't worry." I said, "Look, I need to get back home at maximum 3 p.m. local, so I can do. I got a live show today." And he said, "Yeah, no worries. You'll be back at time." And I ended up, it was 2 p.m. and I was like, okay, we still got all of that to do. Okay, so that means that finally I'm just not going to be doing the show, I guess. And Mr. Paul the Cat is here. Hey, Mr. Paul, come on. People want to see you. Come on. Yeah. Do you guys hear that? You guys hear him? What was that? Huh? What was that, man? There. Let's go. Look at the guys. Look at the people there. Yeah. Yeah, man. You're a beautiful cat. They want to see your face. So, wow, where did you go? You're full of little white stuff. Man. I don't know. He goes everywhere and meets everybody. It's just nuts. So yeah, best friends for life. I can now replace the cat on the shirt with Mr. Paul. Here, best friends for life. Me and Paul. Here we go. So, anyways, I wasn't home. I couldn't do the show, and I'm not even sure I could do it tomorrow. Because I didn't think about it, and I'll know only tomorrow morning, because I had promised a friend of mine that I'd go to help him out with some paint job, and I totally forgot. So I'm not even sure. I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but now I'm not even sure I can do it tomorrow. So we'll see what we're going to do with that. What else do we have? Ralph Bender says World Music Radio strong on 5840. I heard Laser Hot Hits. D1DJK is listening to that on 6205. I heard it. Laser Hot Hits on 6205. I heard it one evening this week. It was coming in here in Montreal. That's what I want to. I can't wait to test out the loop to see if I can get these things better, at least with less noise in them. Marlon Enriquez, nice to have you here. KC1EHW, pretty cool. Richard Cook says 20 meter open in a moment at FT8 on 14076. It must be 14076 is JT65. 14074 for FT8. Max Strong says, Jill, you would like the MFJ 1786. It is a transmit receive rated from 10 megahertz, 30 megahertz, but it receives well down to about 7 megahertz. Cool. It did cross my mind on the transmit side because I was thinking that if I would get myself, when I get my hand license, I'll need something to transmit. Now, although the sloper I got here is rated for transmissions, it's not rated for very high. It's rated, I think, for 25 watts PEP. So it's not very, very high power. Anyways, when I get my hand license, you guys are going to see I'm going to be on the air. Not to worry. Andy Tobin, nice to have you here, my friend. What's the verdict on the Radio Wow R108? The Radio Wow that is right here. If I can get it without having or breaking anything. Radio Wow here is a pretty amazing package. That is a pretty good radio, guys. If you don't want to spend too much money, Radio Wow, it doesn't have single sideband, but if you don't need single sideband, I can tell you this is a pretty good radio and nice performance. The D808 or the XH Data D808 has an edge. It does have and perform better, but it's a pretty good radio, honestly. Very, very nice, and anybody that gets this would not be disappointed, I can tell you that. What else do we have? Timothy Perry Jr., nice to have you on board, my friend. Doing well here. Pretty good. What else do we have? Radio Romania Strong 13650. That ended a few minutes ago. Brother Stare loud and clear on 6055. Oh, really? Wow. I heard him the other day, yesterday. I heard him on, when I was actually testing out the Texan DR920. And I heard him on 13845. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do a video of that. Yep, the W6LVP loop does have amazing reviews. That's why I got it. And the other thing that helped me also through it is that the service is also apparently amazing from the guys that make the W6LVP. So all of that together made me let's go for it. Shortwave Bavaria, nice to have you on board from Germany, my friend. What else do we have? Let's try to go as fast as we can to catch up with you guys. I'm 15 minutes behind, pretty roughly. If I miss anybody, then say hi, say hi. Where exactly are you from, if I may ask? I am in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Dejan. Montreal is the second biggest city in Canada and northeast part of North America. Corleone, nice to have you here. Got his Texan PL 880, nice radio. A beautiful radio. Gonna have a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of fun. Dave Todd says, Brother Stare will never disappear in our lifetimes. I hear Gene Scott on occasion. Yeah, because there's kind of that, I think it's his daughter or something that's continuing, but Brother Stare is a different thing. I think Brother Stare, when he's gone, it's going to be gone. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you here. Says, Nova Scotia is a place to party. Oh, man. Yeah, we're going to try to tune the bands during the show. Well, PLF Radio. Right now, the bands are not super hot because we're still early. The sun is setting now. It's like, past 8 p.m. It's more than 3 hours from now, so I don't have as good reception as in the winter time often, or the at least in the equinox moments. But we're gonna tune the bands. We're gonna check some singles for sure. There's something on. Let me check it out here. There's something on 90. Oh, that's. Oh.
There would not be anything.
A very good signal. That doesn't happen very often. With talking of Brother Stare, 9330 is on, which is WBCQ with Brother Stern. It has a very strong signal. I almost never hear 9330 kilohertz. You know, Max Headstrong, I think it's part of what we like. You know, I always wanted to have some pirate station on or something. I can tell you that. What else do we find? Yeah, the transmitter of Radio Austria on that would be sad. They do have a lot of relays from there, though. I think that's what's keeping that transmitter side on. They do relay quite a few stations, including Radio Japan, so it's probably helping out there. Honestly, the last place I would do a pirate station is on the FM band. I mean, it's just like saying, come on, come and get me. You know, at least on shortwave, it's kind of difficult to pinpoint where you are really. On the FM band, it's just like, just come and get me. Can tell you that. Maybe it says, Paul, cute as always. It's possible, Bobby. I'm not sure for tomorrow. I need to contact my friend and see what... Because if she had enough people, there might be I might be able to just say, well, I'm gonna do a live show instead, but I'll know only tomorrow morning. We'll do it next month. Sorry for that. Take care, Degen. I understand. Keegan, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. Radio Owl looks like SH Data. Well, they all come from the same place pretty much. And it's Driver Film Shortwave. Nice to have you here. But it's a nice little radio, honestly. It's a nice the Radio R108 is a pretty nice radio. Yeah, 73 is like a handshake if you want. Or, hi, nice to have you. Nice to see you. Or, take care. Or, it's greetings, actually. 88 for women, which is kind of, with kisses, basically. So 73 for guys, for men, it'll do 73. There'll be 88s for when there's women. What's the other one? 655, 55 means much success. So 55, yeah, that's it. The only JK. So, it's best regards. Alfredo says, I think SH Data and Radio Hour are the same company. In the box of the XH Data, there's a message on a small sheet of paper from Radio Hour. Yeah, they are. They are, honestly. Pretty much the same. And I'm still not, we talked about it, I know, in a couple of weeks back. I'm not sure, honestly, I'm not sure that that these radios are made from Texan. It's possible, and that I'm open to the idea, because we did talk about it, and a few of you have said, well, these radios are made by Texan. Yeah, but usually when Texan makes a radio branded for some other company, they have a Texan branded version of it. And the XH Data is unique. There is no equivalent Texan to the XH Data D808. So I'm not sure they are made by Texan. But then again, if if we reflect on the fact that you need a manufacturing plant and you need to have engineers and all of that to build these radios, I also understand that, yeah, okay, I get the fact that there probably are some reasons why Texan should be making these, because they have the expertise, the engineers, But I'm very, very, you know, I don't know, crazy. Jeff posted a good idea today. Put a XH data battery in the radio well. Yeah, well, they don't have the same battery. They don't have the same battery. Wow, I got some weird interference suddenly on my on the radio mains. So they don't have the same battery. The radio hour uses a kind of a. It looks like a Nokia phone battery, where the XH data has got. And look at that, guys. I don't know if you guys see the amount of. And they're not all there. I got a lot more than that. I purchased a package full of these 18 650 batteries for my radios. So I won't run out. I even got chargers for them. So it's kind of fun. Yeah, best friends, Paul and Joe and Paul. Yeah, absolutely. I got this week. Mr. Paul going back to his chair. Of course, cat hair everywhere now. Yeah, for those that didn't see the shirt at the beginning of the show, I've got the official Jill and Paul the cat shirt now. So it's kind of a nice shirt. I actually like it. It's beautiful. Somebody told me, I should have taken the shirt orange so that it goes with the cat. But I said, yeah, I don't want to wear an orange shirt. That's why I chose it blue. But it's a beautiful shirt. I actually really, really like it. Really, really nice. I got that this week. Keegan, 83 Fahrenheit and sunny. Wow. That would be weather for being outside. I wish we had that kind of weather. Well, you know, it's really because there's not a lot of sun, honestly. Because when it's sunny here, this week I think was Thursday. No, wait, Thursday was yesterday. Wednesday we had a full sunny day. We had 23, 24 Celsius. It was in the 70s. It was nice. But we have so much clouds that it's just cool all the time. Actually, you know what? What's the window? It's Melissa. Melissa's got the window. Thanks, Randy. I'm not following much of that, so I'm not sure who is who exactly. But so thanks for the info. Yeah, well, you know what? D1 DJK Brothers, there isn't as much everywhere as it used to be here in North America. I hear him from time to time, but there was a time last year when he was everywhere. So yes, that's true, Kevin Wood. All real radio nerds want to have single sideband at some point, for sure. Oh man. Yes, Richard, I know Radio Austria. I've heard it once, I think it was 0500 or 0600. I heard it once. What I hear mostly from Austria is, I think it's at 0500. There's the relay. There's the relay for Radio Japan from there that usually makes it with a decent signal here in North America. I miss Radio Austria. Radio Austria was one of the stations I really, really liked. Matambale in Colorado. Nice to have you here. Says 73 is best regards. 88 hugs and kisses. Radio Week signal work. Has XFM being on the air lately? Been watching the forums, but nothing. I did catch XFM. What was it? 3 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago? Roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago. You know what's sad about, and I always say it, and David says, whenever an international broadcaster has left shortwave to only remain online, I've simply stopped listening to it. Not only as a protest, but also because then they've lost its purpose to me. The only stations I really listened on my internet radio, honestly, are the ones that have really good enough information that they actually were able to keep me listening. So one of them, BBC World Service. If I don't hear them on shortwave, I will tend to go on the internet to listen to their broadcast. But if it's, I won't listen, most stations I won't listen much. Like, for example, Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia, both had online podcasts. They still do. I mean, on some shows, maybe I will listen in, but I won't listen all the time, and I won't listen every day, that's for sure. And, for us radio guys, it's not the same thing, for sure. I don't have a thrill listening to Radio Australia, even though I hear Radio Australia on that radio, the internet radio. I don't have a thrill listening to Radio Australia there. I did get a thrill listening to Radio New Zealand 13840 shortwave last night, or the day before. Not over the internet. There's no thrill for me there. But that's us radio guys, Vianney Arsenault, bonjour et bienvenue de l'Est du Québec, de la Gaspésie. Nice to have you here. Kevin Wong has a strong station on 9350. I got a very weak line of signal on 9350, but I'm definitely getting WBCQ real strong on 9330. You know what, D1DJK? That is one of the major problems of our society, and this is what happened to Radio Canada International. There's a few things that they don't understand about having a voice on shortwave. And okay, I'll be very fair here, because I think we are in 2019. We got to understand, we got to live in a moment in time where different technologies exist. So to be fair, any station on shortwave should also have a streaming side. Why? Because, come on, you're a station on shortwave, you're a station that wants to talk to the world of who you are as a country, as a society. You can't block out ways of sending out that info. So, you may be happy or not, we are 2019, let's use that possibility. So, for example, I could be, removing my internet connection or dumbing it down to a really low speed just for the bare minimum, and take that $100 that I'll have in my pocket a month and decide that I want to spend it on doing a show on shortwave and be on WRMI or WBCQ or WWCR with a weekly 1 hour, I don't know, for the price they charge, maybe like a weekly 30-minute show on shortwave that talks about radio. But I'm using this medium, YouTube. And you guys are seeing my radios, which, of course, it's a richer experience. There's a visual aspect to it. It's not just listening to something. It's also watching something. It's also viewing something else. So any shortwave station should honestly be on the internet also. Because there's us geeks that listen with radios. But, I have seen one person that I went to school with. And it's fun is to go and find all the podcasts, all the streams of different countries. And for him, that's a hobby. And let's face it, there are people out there that their hobbies, they don't want to have a radio. But they do have a hobby of trying to find the streams of different countries, different cultures that are on the internet. And it's all right. You don't have to be a radio listener. It's, we can't push our hobby. It's like somebody telling me, hey, you're Canadian. You better, get out your ass in the wintertime and play some hockey. I'm probably gonna, kind of tell you to just, mind your own business or something. I played hockey when I was young, but, I was like, I'm not gonna go play hockey. But a lot of people don't play hockey, don't want to play hockey. They still enjoy watching a game on TV, and that's the thing. We gotta be open-minded that all media is possible. We are in 2019. I mean, it's not 1985. It's not the only way to listen to Germany is on shortwave. Germany can be listened to on the internet. And I mean, if I go on my internet Wi-Fi radio, Germany has like thousands, maybe not thousands, at least a couple of hundred streams from Germany, from different stations, FM local stations and stuff like that. So we got to be open-minded that all of that needs to exist. But the medium of shortwave is very peculiar. It has a very interesting aspect to it. And the aspect is it cannot be, technically not really be blocked. It can be jammed, yes, like at Radio Marti in Cuba, for example. It can be jammed. Radio Free Asia with the CNR1 jammer from China, for example. But these are inefficient. I mean, if you block that station, it depends on propagation. And I remember listening to, I think it was a DX Party Line show from HCJB way back in the 90s. They were mentioning, because, when the USSR broke down and Russia became what Russia is today, of course, things were they were allowed to speak a lot more about what was happening. And one of the things about that is they were speaking how even in the Cold War, when technically you should not have listened to HCJB or Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, and they were jammed because there's a lot of jamming going on, if you guys remember back then. The propagation of shortwave signals made it that, at least 2 to 3 times a week, they were still able to listen to it because the jamming wasn't efficient. It was depending on propagation. So sometimes it would jam efficiently and you couldn't listen. But the next day you might be listening in and, oh, look at that, Voice of America is loud and clear, or with a little hiss of jamming in the background, but still working. And it's not like the internet. The internet is, you just switch off and there's nothing you can do about it. Look, every country that had some kind of turmoil, what did they do? They switched off the internet. They switched off means of communicating with, your smartphone. I mean, no more text messages between everybody. They have a really, really nice, a very, very efficient way of, shutting down the internet. It's not like shortwave. Shortwave is dependent on propagation. It's not super efficient. And hey, Kevin Wood is sending his little dog picture, saying, "Hey, nice to have you on. Nice to see you, Paul. Here, look at that, Paul. There's a dog." Paul is very curious with dogs. It's just so funny. So thanks for that picture, Kevin. It's nice. So, it's just, it's that. First of all, shortwave shortwave has no frontiers. Shortwave, you don't have a local switch for shortwave. You can't just say, hey, it's off. And you gotta think about that possibility and that the fact that there's all of that happening. And like I always say, when Radio Sweden left shortwave, did I know what was happening in Sweden suddenly? No. How many of us have listened to a shortwave broadcaster and learned so many things about news items, things happening in that country. Why? Because you were listening to that station. Because, let's face it, Radio Sweden got out of the air. Radio Norway got out of the air. The Deutsche Welle in Germany. And do you see news about Germany or we see maybe a little more news about Germany than we see other countries, but still, there's little news items that sometimes are of interest, but the major news outlets in our countries don't talk about it. I don't know what's happening in Sweden. Is there still a country called Sweden? I know because some people are in the chat room, but I don't know what's happening in Sweden today. But there was so much information about, really, there's elections in Sweden. Oh, this is happening in Sweden. Oh, they have a new regulation in Sweden of this or that. Oh, this is interesting. They have that regulation that we're thinking of doing here in Canada. Oh, it's interesting. We're not the only country in the world thinking like that. We are losing that information, which is, I personally find, super interesting. But, when you lose the shortwave outlet, did I go on the internet and say, Swedish news? I did not. Once the outlet that tells the world what's happening in your country is gone, nobody goes on the internet and says, I want to know what's happening in Sweden today. It's not because we hate Swedish people. No, we just don't do it. Because we had something there that was giving us that information. And now it's gone. And we don't have that, sense of going on the internet, or we just don't have news anymore. Propagation is good on 20 meters this afternoon, says Vianney. Let's check it out. Yeah, I see there's some stuff here. There is a lot of stations on 20 meters, absolutely. I tried to check out what's coming in. K8NY 14188. Kilo 8 November Yankee on 14188.
Uniform Tango. Hello, Sid. Good to hear you again. Well, it may be Sid, maybe somebody else. You're at a club station. Name is Bob. We're in West Virginia. Over.
West Virginia. There are quite a few signals on the 20 meter band. Tune around, guys. Quite a few things there. Quite a few things there. Yeah, PLF Radio, I had noticed that Radio Wow sells the XH data. And they also have the Texan. I noticed they had the Texan PL 660 or 680 or something. Keegan is, yeah, it's a nice shirt, eh, David? I like it. I'm happy. Keegan does his reception with the Eton Grunning Edition Field BT radio. What else do we have? Jerry DX, nice to have you on board. Shitty Pyro 90, nice to have you here. David says, before buying my PL 600, which at the time became my first ever SSB capable radio, I was so anxious to finally be able to receive SSB signals by myself that I stopped completely to use the web SDRs. Cool. Andy RC, nice to have you on board. No problem being late, man. Don't be sorry to be late. Andy in Cornwall, UK, nice to have you here, my friend. Always nice to have all of you guys. There's so many things I don't think. There's a few guys that I follow that I'd like to watch some of the stuff sometimes Cosmic Lettuce with his astronomy podcast at night, and I mean, sometimes it just like you realize, oh, and then watch this or do that, Yeah, D1DJK, Slovakia and Prague are still on shortwave here in North America also. WRMI does a great job at relaying Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia, and Radio Ukraine via Florida, and they do usually get a pretty good signal here in North America. Yes, Matambali, we've been having some pretty good reception of 13840 most nights on the East Coast also. It's a little rougher here on the East Coast on 13840 than you guys that are more west for Radio New Zealand. Branson W, nice to have you on board. My name is Pavel, and I live in Czech Republic. A shortwave listener, sorry my English is weak, no problem. And so I write help translating. Your channel is number one. I have a beer here, so I can enjoy your help and shortwave. Hi, Paul. Nice to have you, Branson, and your English is perfect. We totally understand what you want to say, and there's no problem there. And I know some people that are watching are. I did have an email the other day, and the guys kind of had a lot of difficulty telling me in English, what he wanted to say, but saying that he's not in the chat room because his English is so bad that he's kind of shy of sharing or saying hello, and should not just say hi, no problem there. Even if it's difficult to talk, a little something, just say hello. It's we're happy to have all of you here, and English. My English is not my native language either. I mean, my native language is French, so. What else do we have? Yeah, Ralph Bender, the battery in the radio hour is a BL5C. It is actually the BL5C, I believe, Ralph Bender, is one of the batteries that was in one of the older Nokia phones. D1DJK, when all radio stations would disappear, you can throw away all your radio collection. Nah, I will not. And that will be something to listen to in 20 years from now. That I will do from time to time on these stations too, driver phone shortwave. I do the same. For example, when I actually DX medium wave, I will stream stations on the internet to compare, to confirm and make sure that I have the good, what station I'm listening to. I do exactly that, and that's a really good way of when you medium wave, long wave DXing. That is a perfect and amazing good tip. Just use online streaming of those stations and compare. But sometimes, have you noticed driver films? It's sometimes difficult because sometimes there's a delay, like 30 seconds, and you kind of gotta. Okay, there was a woman talking about that thing, and there's a man talking, and you got to realize that there's like 30 seconds of delay or something. So you gotta sometimes kind of concentrate, because even with the streaming, when the delay is very long, when there's some kind of buffering, it's not always easy, And it's like, okay, sometimes it's a distinct thing that the person said that makes you realize, it's the good stream, it's okay. That she was saying that earlier or acting like that earlier or so on. But sometimes it's difficult, even with the stream. Max Armstrong says children should be forced to listen to shortwave like eating vegetables. I hope they don't put both of them together. Imagine just like, okay, you're going to listen to that BBC on shortwave and eat the broccoli. Both of them together, they're never going to want to listen to shortwave ever again. Oh man. You better eat those Brussels sprouts and listen to Slovakia, because you know what? You're gonna be a bad guy when you grow up. Man, it would have forced me to eat Brussels sprouts and listening to Radio Berlin International. I would have said the hell with shortwave, man. Oh God. Oh man, you made me laugh there. Beer number two. I don't know if it's because I didn't eat much today, but it's probably because of that. Only one beer, and I already feel like I feel like I usually feel when I have two of them. So it's like, okay, it's having a more of an effect today or something. Or something screwed up and it has more alcohol than it says. C. Johnson, nice to have you on board, my friend. Oh, man. And, like I said, the money for the transmitters and stuff, I think pretty much the same is happening all over the world. Our governments are strapped for cash. They're finding places where they can actually get money. And, where do you cut? You cut where people don't care. Honestly, I was talking to Sheldon about that one day. The number of people in Canada that didn't even know that Radio Canada International was something that existed. Pretty surprising. I tell you, a lot of people don't know. And thanks for sharing, David, by the way, for the on Twitter for the stream. So a lot of people don't have an idea that there's a local shortwave station that talks about it's crazy. Terry Colgan, nice to have you on board from Austin, Texas. Pretty cool. It's crazy here. Let me just okay. Hockey fights. Yeah, now that you can actually be I grew up in the time where if there wasn't a fight in a hockey game, people were disappointed. Different times today. Having a fight in a hockey game is a problem today. I can tell you that. Shortwave leads to strong bones, says Max Headstrong. Oh, man. What else do we have? I know. Sweden is a very popular travel country. I know that. A lot of European countries are very, very popular. Absolutely. And, I'm one of those guys that like learning more about different cultures. You know what, Kevin Wood? I haven't heard the Fire Drake, but one morning this week, one of the rare moments, except when I wake up for the International Radio Report, where I was up at 8 a.m., I think it was on Wednesday morning, I thought, hey, it's time to try KBS World Radio on 15575 to North America. With, of course, what? A very, very weak signal on the SDR and zero ways to listen in. And KBS World Radio should understand that they're not doing any efforts at all to be heard in North America. And you know what? If you guys write to KBS World Radio, you should all. I would tell them, and you know what? I need to write. I will rant at KBS. I will say, hey, if you don't want to be listened or heard in North America, congratulations, because you guys don't know what to do to be heard in North America. I mean, you know, you're on the same frequency year long where you don't hear anything 90% of the time in North America. I'm getting mad. I'm throwing my keyboard away. And you know what? What are you doing? Wasting money on a transmitter. And then you're going to say, oh, well, you know, we're going to leave shortwave because we get no letters from North America. Yeah, we can't even hear you. I really hope somebody from that station just like, well, really? You just pop the transmitter on and, hey, let's hope that somebody's going to hear us. Come on. KBS World Radio annoys me to the highest point with that type of, I mean, okay, just get off shortwave if you're not happy and don't do changes. I mean, come on. We want to hear you. I don't want to hear KBS. You can do things. Come on. Have some guy that knows what he's doing with a transmitter or something. That was my ranting. And I hope somebody from KBS watched and said, oh my God, he's mad at us. Yes, I'm mad at South Korea for shortwave. I mean, come on. That's a perfect example of, wow, you really don't put a lot of efforts in anything on that shortwave broadcasts. Please, you're spending 2 hours on 15575. 1 hour in English, 1 hour in Korean, that nobody actually hears in North America. Thank you, KBS. You know, might as well use a WRMI relay. I mean, you're doing relays in Europe. Why don't you use a WRMI relay instead of, you know, spending that amount of money on a transmitter that transmits to nowhere? Thank you. Merci. Michael Almash says, yeah, Fire Drake heard often in Alberta, covering Radio Free Asia frequencies and local morning. Yeah, I know there's still a lot of Fire Drakes. I don't hear as many Fire Drakes as I used to, but I did hear. So like I was saying, I was trying KBS World Radio 15575 with nothing. But I did hear CNR1 Jammer on 15165 with a pretty decent signal actually here in Montreal. Oh man. Shitty Pyro also listens and hears quite often Fire Drake on the Radio Free Asia frequencies. Kimberly, nice to have you on board from California. Hey, cheers everybody. Take care of PLF Radio. What else do we have? Leo and JK. Friday evenings is shortwave showtime. Fridays are planned to be here. Oh man. W5KJL, nice to have you here. Says there's a group that does trivia each night on 3916 lower sideband. Yes, I have heard them. I need to check that out. Where they're broadcasting from? They're broadcasting like from the central. I believe it's more like in the central zone. I've heard them a few times, but I believe here in Montreal, it's not as easy to Central Standard Time. That's it. So it's 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna try that out. I like trivia stuff. It's a lot of fun. Oh man. Jerry, congrats on getting new loop antenna. It's about time. Yeah, I hope. It's almost $500. And by the way, if you guys want to contribute to me getting a new loop, or just contribute to Paul the Cat food, and just want to help out in any way, and you know, I'm here all the time doing these live shows on Fridays. PayPal.me/shortwave or the Yahoo email that I'm posting here. You can become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers if you want to give a little something. Much appreciated. Really helps me out because, I mean, to do this, it does cost some money. And I do need a more expensive internet connection. I need lighting systems. There's exactly. You guys are okay? There's exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lighting spots at me to make sure that it looks decent. And I mean just decent. It could be worse. Could be more spots and more stuff. You know, when I'm here, I'm sure I get my therapy. You know, when they say in the wintertime we don't have enough sunshine and that some people get depressed, I'm sure that I can get depressed because I have enough lighting systems in my face every week to probably stay like if it was the summer. So anyways, you know, I spend equipment and I'm buying that loop. Honestly, if I wouldn't be doing these live shows and videos, I don't think I would have purchased a loop that's so expensive. Because I would have thought more of, you know what, take the portable radio, go out on beautiful days and just enjoy shortwave when you're out somewhere. And I probably would never have purchased such an antenna not doing live shows and videos on the YouTube channel. I mean, part of it will be that I will be doing reviews. You guys will see what I think of the loop antenna and how it performs and compared to the sloper. So, you know, I was not expecting to spend that much. It started out with maybe I could spend a couple of $100. And it came out to okay, I'm spending almost 500 Canadian bucks for a loop antenna plus filters and no, who knows what, because, you know, I'm expecting that when they get here, somebody's going to say at the post office or something, oh, by the way, you got to pay taxes and you got to pay this and that, and I'm expecting that I'm going to pay another $100 probably at the post office. You know, it's a lot of money, and I did hesitate quite a lot. I mean, I wasn't sure, but you know, it's part of my job and it's part of what I do. So if you want to help out, it'd be appreciated. Oh man. Tony Robinson, nice to have you here, says in the background here, Motormount Mall 27625, 27025, you mean. Channel 6, big clean modulation, surprising. Cool. Max S. Strong says, entered the cult of the loops. David Arden, nice to have you on board, David. KJ4CMY. You missed ranting, you missed all sorts of things, but you're here now. It's okay. Richard Cook's got Radio New Zealand 11725. Cool. Pretty cool. Romancing the Loop. Romancing the Loop. Is that a song, Romancing the Stones, from what was that guy called? Romancing the Stone by Eddie Grant. Is that Eddie Grant? It's the same guy that made Electric Avenue. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Today is the last day you can fly your drone in Canada without a license. Even the battery-powered drones, the small powered drones. There must be a kind of a limit or something. Mountain Valley, worst beats and Brother Scare. Red wine, Vianney. I saw you thumbs up my my Facebook wine. It was kind of nice wine. It's a Portuguese wine, actually. Kimberly is coffeeholic there. Second pot of coffee. Great. I like coffee in the morning. I actually received this week, I decided to try it. I received a thing called, there's a mail order coffee company called Coast to Coast Coffee in Canada. And I decided to try it out this week. And I got my first coffee, which is a Guatemala coffee. And I really, really am enjoying it. And I think I'm going to kind of subscribe for a kind of a monthly package of coffee. Really, really kind of nice. Rufus Newt is cracking a Labatt. Haven't had anything from Labatt in a long time. So cheers. Absolutely. Ciao, some of you have. Nice to have you on board from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Gym work. Yeah, you gotta be in shape, man. Pinot Noir, nice. Max says strong. Somebody told me the other day that I was I was bad because I would make a bunch of shortwave listeners drunk alcoholics, apparently. Oh God, Keegan 11635, which is the Cuban numbers. 11635. Wow. I barely have a peep here. Dan Trainer, nice to have you on board from Boston. With a Sam Adams beer. Cool. Brent has Ocean Spray Raspberry Cranberry Juice. That's good. Yeah, sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you gotta, I got a big belly. I need to, actually I'm having less beers recently that I've had in a while because of that. No problem, Keegan. Have a great Jeopardy. Dan Trainer, hockey fights, I missed them. It's another, it's another season. It's another time. What can I say? Oh God. Cyberflyer1, nice to have you on board. No problem. Yes, I am well. Yeah, we can hear KBS. Andy RC says, calm down, Joe. Nobody, come on. We can't hear South Korea, please. Do something. Yeah, in Europe, you guys have the relays of KBS. It'd be really, really nice if they had at least a relay. But you know what, D1 DJK? The problem with KBS is that when I actually heard them in their mailbag show, I don't know how many times people tell them that frequency is almost impossible to listen to. And you know what the problem is? That they do nothing. It's as if they just don't care. And that's what I find sad. It's like they don't care, honestly. I'll tell you that. Pretty darn, Terry Cogan says, I think the Fire Drake Jammer should be listed as a shortwave broadcast station since it has musical programming. Where can I send a QSL report? I sometimes listen just to have noise around me. You know what? Honestly, I actually find it more entertaining to have a Fire Drake Jammer than the CNR1. The CNR1 is Chinese stock. I don't understand a thing. But at least the Fire Drake is that Chinese music that honestly is almost entertaining. It's like, oh, look at that, Chinese music, Johnny the Exter says, contribute to buy Jill burgers and beer. Yeah, burgers tonight. I'm having burgers on the barbecue. And of course, beer fund. I got a donation last week or 2 weeks ago. And the guy said, this is beer fund. Okay, beer funds. No problem. Oh, man. Talking of KBS, Richard Cook says that 11810 in English should be on at 2200 hours UTC. 11810. Depression is so depressing. Oh man. Yeah, but for me it's both. It's a hobby and a job. It's a hobby and a job in my case. Frank C, nice to have you on board. Is that a realistic CB radio? Absolutely. It's the TRC 432 Navajo base station. It just needs to be plugged into the 102-inch antenna that's lying on the floor right here. But it is, and it was actually my My first real CB radio where I talked to so many people with. Hey, Mad Radio DX, is it a Walbrook? It's a W6 LVP loop from the US. It's equivalent to the Walbrook. Totally. But I understand what you're saying, D1DJK. It was first of all my hobby, but that hobby became kind of a job for me because I do live my life off of YouTube now. So it's a hobby that became a job, which I should be grateful actually because when your hobby and what you like is also your job, yeah, it's kind of cool honestly when you think about it. It's like it is actually very cool. So it's both of them together. So Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board, my friend. Dan Trainer says Voice of Korea North 11710. The best time to pick up the station is between 11 UTC and 12 UTC. I've heard it a little bit this week, but it's not very strong. Yeah, it is, David. Electric Avenue is a very cool track. Absolutely. What else do we have? The D1DJK Voice of Korea have very old transmitters with poor antennas. Their signals in Europe is not really worth to listen to. Only we can do is propagate the songs. But, it's... You know what, D1DJK? That's shortwave. We could have said a lot about the broadcasters back in, just go back to the 80s or the 70s. How many stations were broadcasting their, ideology of communism and one of the things I like to listen to on Radio Romania is when they have that bit on life in Romania under communism rule. It's interesting to listen to. I am totally fascinated. If you guys have never watched it, there's two series that I tell you should watch on YouTube. One is I think it's a 25-part series on World War II, and you should listen to. You actually should watch that before you go to the other, which is I don't know how many parts there is, but it's Cold War. And it's a series of videos on the Cold War from the beginning, how it all started. And of course, watching World War II documentaries kind of explains why we've been to the Cold War. But Cold War is pretty good. All the ups and downs and the crazy times, the Cuban crisis and all of it. Even I was born in 1969. I didn't, live through the Cuban crisis and stuff like that, but I got to say, I lived through the 80s. 80s were kind of a heavy moment for the Cold War. Spain, guys. English, Spain, 9690, 12030, 11940.
English language service.
Today's program features more of the music of Spanish composers.
Why too much music? Spain should stop playing music and talk about something.
And died in Madrid in 1976. Among his teachers along the way were...
So let's check out. So here I am. Let's check out 31 meters. And try out Spain here.
Marcel, the director of the Broadcasting Conservatory,
Look at that, guys. Spain.
All the vigor and joyfulness of the Iberian temperament burst in an explosion.
9690 kilohertz.
The virtuosity of the soloist, together with the orchestra overflowing with musical language, the devilish rhythm of this music, full of colors after the sober language of the andante, stripped down and full of nobility, give all this part of the sonata an irresistible life. And now, Spanish pianist Eduardo del Cuello is accompanied by the Spanish National Orchestra, conducted by Rafael Cugat de Burgos, in this recording of the Sonata del Sur, Opus 52, for piano and orchestra by Oscar Esplá. The work's three movements are Allegro non molto, Andante liturgico molto moderato, and Allegro alla marcia, tempo di canzonable.
So, pretty good signal from Spain. They should just play less music and do a little more talk, though. That's my second rant of the day. You came back on Shortwave. Talk to us. Okay, any drones that weigh more than 250 grams need to be licensed. Okay, interesting. Oh, man. Max S. Strong, we can have our own AA meetings. Yeah, why not? Well, I'm addicted to Shortwave. Yeah, but what about the beer? No, the problem is Shortwave. Beer has nothing to do with it. Kimberly says, sounds like a very nice coffee. I like the Kick-Ass Coffee brand and Monkey and Son. They have, where I ordered and when I want to actually subscribe, they have coffees from all around the world. They have such an amazing choice. I want to try it all. I mean, I like the tastes and the tasting different types of coffees in different countries. It's like chocolate. I like tasting chocolate from different countries. It has a very distinct taste to it. It's very different, country to country. It's very, very nice. Levi Nathan, nice to have you on board from Israel. Shortwave sports, jog around your chair with earphones and our 9012. Oh man. Starting a dating site, Shortwave dating site. Hi, my name is Jill, and I listen to Shortwave, and I like to have really long antennas. Looking for a girl that likes long antennas, listening to romantic sounds of the shortwave world, and decoding digital modes late at night. Is that sexy to anyone? Oh God. That would be so much fun. I should do a funny dating video and post it on the channel. Radio related. Hello girls. I like to have great moments in the wilderness with my long antenna and listen to exotic sounds from the other side of the planet, while in the company of a beautiful woman and a glass of wine. You know, with that kind of rich voice that I got? Yeah, girls. Let's do it now. Oh, man. Okay, I'm drunk. You guys now know I'm drunk. Oh, man. Hey, fast load. Yeah, I know. You know what? I almost put it up today, the pirate flag. It was over there, and I was like, oh, man, people are asking for the pirate flag all the time. I need to put it back up. Absolutely. The potato is my spirit animal. Oh, God. Okay. Hey, Levi Nathan, nice to have you on board. And 4Z1008SWL from Israel. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I miss the Cold War. Max Headstrong, I miss the Cold War. It was so simple back then. Yeah, we just hated each other. That's it. Today, it's all that, oh, Russia is meddling and whatever and blah, blah, blah. Back then, it was like, we'll send our missiles, you'll send our missiles. It was clear. Everybody just wanted to send the missiles on each other, and there was just no denying that that's what's happening. Bullfrog 89, nice to have you here. KD2CXU from Watertown, New York. Back home from college. Cool. Time to play radio, absolutely. The wife is out. It's time to play radio. David in Barcelona, Spain. RE's interval signal. I'm biased, but love it. Really distinctive. I can feel what. Also, another thing, David, is hearing your home country's broadcaster in another country. If I would reverse, if it would still be online, if you'd be live, for example, and I would hear Radio Canada International's interval signal and programming in Spain from Sackville, New Brunswick transmitter when it existed, kind of the feel. I totally understand the feel, honestly. Yep, D1DJK, free speech, absolutely. And that's the good part of shortwave, absolutely. Free speech. Madame Ballet says 9690 noisy. Rougher Snoot 9690 is excellent. It was pretty good tonight. Here 9690 is S9 plus 10 is very strong here. Very strong here. Hey Keegan, try Spain. Radio Exterior de España. Man Radio DX, that's a good question. I think Radio Havana Cuba still has Esperanto. But I honestly, who is still broadcasting Esperanto today? I don't know. Not a lot of people. Joe Sombrano asks, once received China International teaching Portuguese lessons. Really? CRI teaching Portuguese? I know they're teaching Chinese, but man. Kevin Wood, Cold War. Try being 8 years old when Bay of Pigs happened. Way worse in the U.S., but we were close to Buffalo and it was effing scary. I totally understand. I mean, when you go to when you do the Cold War documentary on YouTube, there's one of the high-profile government guys from the time that I don't remember his name. He's a well-known guy in the John F. Kennedy government at the time. And he actually says, you know what? I went home. He went home in the evening, and he totally says in the documentary, I went home that night and I thought I'd never see daylight again. It was over. I mean, it was that crazy and that close. And you know what? It's crazy times, but I think it showed the world one thing. Even though both the USSR and the United States were, it's two different ideologies fighting, that if that would happen, it was pretty much the end of the world. And they understood that it was pretty much the end of the world. So, it was kind of, there was such a hype over the fact that the United States was going to invade Iraq and the Iraqi army and all of that, that even here in Canada, I remember the news talking about how, well, if things go bad, there could be conscription, and I remember a guy that I was working with looking at me and says, are you scared of what's happening? That, maybe we could be forced to go to the army and go fight in something. And I mean, imagine that. And I totally remember, I still remember that moment. It's like, come on. I remember telling him, I said, come on. It's not like the old days, you know. And then again, if all hell breaks loose tomorrow morning and the government decides that, you know, you got to go to war, you got to go to war, there's not a lot you can do about it. I mean, you're forced to go to war, and that's it. It's just in our modern lifetime, we haven't lived that. I mean, if you look at when I watched the World War II documentary, I mean, all the poor guys that were sent out there, and I mean, it was hell. I can't imagine hell being more than that. I mean, come on. And there were actually one of the moments that I remember, they were talking about when the Canadians went to France. The first time they tried to get some part of France, and I mean, the Germans were just waiting. I mean, all the poor guys, they were already doomed, and already killed. You know, they're going to die there. And you know, I don't want to extend too long on this, but I've often been. I'm the kind of guy that, you know, I totally understand that our freedom that we have today. Yeah, some guys had to die for it, and we gotta always remember that. One thing for sure is we gotta remember that some people died so that I'm here doing this show, living the life that I have, and that all of you guys are out there, and we're enjoying our lives. I mean, really, really, a lot. Some people died for the fact that we have this. And then again, there's part of me that's also in the I understand we had moments we had to defend, but not going to war for anything. You know, you want to go to war to defend, I don't know, the fact that we have, you know, oil? No, I don't agree with that. Freedom is under question. And it's sad because sometimes going to war for a reason isn't always clear. And that's all I got to say with that. So anyways, Radio Exterior de España 12030 says Matambale. Is better? Cool. Hey, Archer's Ollie Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you on board from sunny Massachusetts. Kay Burley says, don't get me started on chocolate. I love chocolate. Richard Cook has KBS, South Korea. Good on U20 SDR and 11810, but you don't get it at home. Huh? Maybe that's also a frequency you need to change from time to time. Keegan says 12030. Radio Exterior de España, S4 out of S5. Cool. Bobby Burgess, somebody needs to start a amateur dating net. Vianney Arsenault says shortwave is full sexy. Where did you meet your wife? I was standing one day next to my G5 RV, and then came this sexy woman. I just said, hey babe, like my antenna? Let me show you the radio. Even worse, let me show you the equipment. Oh God, sounds bad. Branson W, beautiful Grendig. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Fastload in the chat room. That's he's the one who gave me that radio. It's a beautiful radio, absolutely. Take care, Ralph Bender. It's nice to have you on board. Oh man, I need to stop being sexy on the radio. Gino Italy, Radio Ascoltare. Nice to have you on board from Italy, my friend, Gino. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Rodolfo 65, 9690. is S9 Plus into New York City. Am I the only one that thinks that they should have less music and more talk? Yeah, well, a lot of stations, D1DJK says Call Israel did Esperanto. A lot of stations did Esperanto back. I remember getting shortwave station schedules by mail in the 80s, and Esperanto was everywhere. For those that don't know, the younger generation, Esperanto was supposed to be that international language we all knew. It was that language that we all talked. Somehow, pretty much nobody talked Esperanto, basically. David says, yeah, exactly, Joe. Pretty cool to hear my country shortwave station, fortunately still on the air, and your QTH across the pond. Absolutely. I totally understand how cool that must be for you. Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, Max Armstrong, we knew who who were our enemies. That's pretty much, Oh man, that did a lot of thinking. Bullfrog '89. I just watched the day after 1983 movie about what life would be after a world nuclear war. That movie had a huge impact back then. I remember that movie was. I remember I watched that movie in '83. It was like that thing everybody wanted to watch, and seeing the day after was like. Yeah, that's what it's gonna look like after everybody drops the bombs everywhere, and even worse, just look at the Hiroshima documentary. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna see what hell looks like. It's pretty much that. Rodelva 65. I saw that movie. I saw it at the. I went to see it with my brother in the theaters when it came out. 13 days. I saw that movie. It's pretty good. Honestly, it's a pretty good movie for explaining all of that. Kevin Wood says we were hearing air raid siren tests every day, and honestly, has anybody ever I mean. The air raid, what the sirens, the alert sirens in a city, isn't like it sounds so creepy? It totally sounds creepy. It's like, okay, I don't know. Instead of thinking, oh, we got to get shelter, when I hear a siren like that, it's more like, oh, I'm going to die today. That's so much fun. Oh, maybe. Miki Dalmash says perhaps CRI is teaching Portuguese because of the anonymous territory, Macau, which was visited before and was handed back to China a year after Hong Kong. Huh. Oh, that's possible. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so, D1DJK. There was absolutely enough wars in Europe, that's for sure. I mean, David Arden says, I remember our grade school leaders blowing air horns and we all had to go into the school basement. That was scary, of course. And imagine as children, you're in school and the alarm sounds. I mean, just crazy. Mad Reader the Xer. By the way, Joe, many thanks for the Shortwave Radio archive video. I was listening to old recordings of Iraqi radio during the Gulf War. Yeah, it's a great place. The Shortwave Radio audio archive is an amazing place, absolutely. Pretty cool. Yeah, the duck and cover. Oh, man. Yeah, right, you got a duck and cover. Come on. It's just crazy. Oh, man. What else do we have? Yeah, make radio no wars. Absolutely. More radios, less weapons. Let's just do that. We need more radios in the world. Vienna also knows shortwave radio is always a question of equipment. Absolutely. You know, equipment is fundamental in life. And using the equipment also is very fundamental in life. Kimberly says, I literally met my husband, Larry, on the CB back in 1982. Sunday is our 29th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. I met my wife talking about my 102-inch CB antenna. And she said, well, I want to see it. That's why I need, I'm going to say something bad here. That's why I need to erect my 102-inch outdoors now. Anyway, sorry. Bullfrog 89, I share my love for radio with the wife. She doesn't understand a lot of it, but she loves that I love it. In turn, she talks to me about art. I don't know how she does it, but I love that she can. You know, that's what a couple needs to be. I mean, understanding that we're two different people and that we are allowed to each have our own hobbies and our own things that we like, and that's what perfect couples are about. I mean, come on, I don't know a lot of couples that share shortwave radio memories. I'd like to have at least one. Well, we met and we listened to the DX party line together from ACJB. We knew that from that day on, it was for life. Now, that would be a nice story. We were listening to World of Radio, Glenn Hauser's World of Radio, and we look at each other's in our eyes and it's like, oh, you listen to that too? I should have a funny series on the channel. Maybe that'd be fun. Oh man. Yeah, there's some stuff on CB, but it's not like it used to be, and you know. Jerry, some strange signals on 18102.5. Are you sure you're not listening to what is FT8 on 18100? Just out of curiosity. Like multiple tones. Bullfrog 89 is Comedian Lewis. I like that. As comedian Lewis Black said, we did duck and cover drills after the all clear sounded. I could go outside and melt. Oh, God. Vianney says, I have several 102-inch here and all are good reception, but transmission, I'm not sure. Oh, God. What's the XMY 556 thing? You're hearing voice, Jerry? Send a 20-meter handband. No, not a 20 meter, it's 17 meters. 18102 is a 17-meter handband, Jerry. It's 18068 to 18168. It's one of the work bands for amateur radio. So if you're hearing voices, you're hearing amateur radio operators. It's an amateur band. It's Morse code at the beginning. It is digital modes around 18090, 18100, and above 18100 to 18168. It's upper sideband. It's an amateur radio band. It's one of the work bands where you're not allowed to do contesting when there's contests. It's one of my favorite bands, by the way. It's one of my favorite bands for DXing stations. Now, I'm pretty sure there, Jerry, on 18102. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it's amateur radio operators doing tests. It is the 17-meter band. I mean, there could be military stuff doing tests, but it is the 17-meter band. Roberto Rojas, nice to have you here, my friend. WF7I Ombru, nice to have you on board from Roanoke, Virginia. Looking forward to some radio this weekend. Cool. Kevin Wood, XMY556 is referenced 1960s Canadian TV show The Forest Rangers. Oh, I didn't know. I'm not old enough, I guess. Huh, interesting. The Forest Rangers. I need to check that out. Imagine all the stuff that we don't know about. All the shows and everything. I wish there's one thing that I was sharing the audio archive for Shortwave this week. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube of older transmissions, but imagine, guys, if we had the full archive of everything that was on Shortwave ever. I think I would probably never get out of my house anymore, and they would find me dead. And I would have had probably watched 2% of everything that existed. I mean, man, it would be so cool. I mean, when I listen to older broadcasts on YouTube of or that audio archive of stations like 30 years, 40 years ago, it's like, wow. And I like the fact that a lot of the recordings are done on real radios from the time. So when you listen, you actually have the feel of what shortwave was like back then, and it's like it brings me back into when I was listening to shortwave with the hisses and the heterodynes and the whistles and all the interference around the stations, because there were so many stations jam packed to each other. Brings me back 30 years easily. So it's just crazy. So you're watching the shortwave show. I am a little drunk, actually, and I've had only almost 2 beers. Probably because I didn't eat much today, honestly. Rogers Alec Crafter's Kitchen says the best archive broadcast is Radio Berlin International's last transmission. That one is interesting because you see how these people are not happy that Radio Berlin is stopping, and they are mentioning. I remember they were mentioning that some of the people there are going to be moved on to the Deutsche Welle side, and you could see that there's not everybody's happy that it's the end of the Cold War and that Germany is reunited. I guess, there are some people, honestly, there are some people that were happy in that time in time frame, basically. So now it's Radio Extérieur d'Espagne in French.
Bienvenue dans cette émission en français de ce samedi 1er juin. Nous sommes à Madrid. Vous écoutez Radio Extérieur d'Espagne, c'est la radio publique.
That is French.
Ce soir, on avait rendez-vous avec 2 programmes. Points cardinaux, notre magazine d'actualité nationale et internationale, et La Foire au son, notre magazine musical. C'est avec Louis Martin. On commence tout de suite. Voici Points cardinaux.
Pretty good signal from Spain.
Mucha expectación ante el debut de los nuevos ministros en la sesión de control al gobierno. Magazine d'actualité présenté par Guillaume Branco. Et bonsoir à tous, merci d'être avec nous dans ce magazine.
Spain in French. Oh man. Kimberly says, I agree, Joe. For some reason, I've been thinking about Wolfman Jack and seeing what I found on YouTube. Oh man. You like the analog stuff, do you, on DJK? I'm open to a lot of types of digital and honestly having a nice, having some nice, you know, DRM receiver. I'm open to everything, honestly, personally. Take care, Brent. It was nice to have you on board. I'm open to all types of transmissions, but you know, no, it's not going to be demonetized. Radioactive. It's their own music for their own show, so it doesn't demonetize anything. And it's like when stations do their own news bulletin and there's some music. It's often kind of like a piece of music that was created for their own news bulletin. So it doesn't actually remove monetization or anything. I don't know, Bobby Burgess. I'll know tomorrow morning if there's a VHF UHF show tomorrow. I still don't know yet. I'll try to let everybody know. So I'm gonna start saying goodbye, guys. I want to take some time off a little bit tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show today. We did go on for 2 hours and 31 minutes. Pretty good run. Hope you enjoyed our show. And hey, Jay Watterson 69 here. I'm gonna show you Mr. Paul the cat. Look at that. Look at that. How cute he is. Yeah. Before we go, here's Mr. Paul the cat. So here we go. Doing a little nap, being happy. So it's Mr. Paul is there. And for those that have just joined and haven't seen, of course, best friends for life, Jill and Paul. This is my shirt now. And I love this shirt. I mean, yes, we are best friends for life, me and Paul. And so, hope you guys enjoy the show. Well, of course, give you guys for the last time my little PayPal, if you like, and if you want to do a little donations, help me pay for that loop antenna. Don't hesitate. It's always a lot of fun to have you guys there, and of course pay for all that it costs to be online. Thanks everybody. Love to everybody here. It's always fun to have you on board, my friends. You know, and we're here to have fun with radios, and I'm thinking about something. If in 2 weeks it does get warmer and I do a de-expedition to Perry Island, I might actually do a special live show streaming with my phone from Perry Island. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think you guys would like that. So I will be of course checking that out. So check it out, and we'll be of course listening in, and hope you guys enjoy the videos, enjoy the live shows. I will be posting more videos this week, of course, as usual. Can't wait to get the loop antenna. I can tell you one thing, that loop antenna is going to be a lot of fun. The W6 LVP loop. So thanks everybody for being here. Love you all. It's really, really a lot of fun. Now it's time for hamburgers on the barbecue. I think it's going to be pretty good. And take care, my friends. Stay safe. Love you all. And hope that you all are safe. Thanks for being great fans. I mean, without you guys, there wouldn't be any shows. Hey, I'm back. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.